is worry I'm bound to spend. Now my Monday man, he works on 4th and Main. My Tuesday man gives me my spending change. My Wednesday man buys my hats and shoes. My Thursday man don't care what I do. Now my Friday man, he buys my homebrewed beer. My Saturday man, he's dashing and sincere. My Sunday man, he dressed so nice and neat. He's a nice, good man. I'm always crazy to meet.
This is In the Studio. I'm Ann Marie Spatharakis. Our guest today is the very dynamic and talented Lori Urso, and that was A Man for Every Day of the Week from the CD I'm Driving. Favorite song?
That is my favorite song. That song, I told you that Sippy Wallace was one of my influences. And Sippy Wallace is from Texas. She was born, probably in the 19-teens or something like that. And her real name is Beulah Thomas, and she's from the Thomas family, which from which come many famous and talented and successful songwriters. Her older brother George being probably one of the most prolific. His daughter Hoseel was a famous blues singer at that time. And her baby brother, there are many kids in the Thomas family, her baby brother was Herschel Thomas. And like many vaudeville era stories, the women who wanted to perform and wear the fancy costumes were always daughters of churchmen, ministers or preachers, and Sippy Wallace was. And so she had to sneak away to perform in these tent shows. And she was also doing like a street corner act. And when Herschel was 7 or 8, she brought him out, taught him how to play piano, and he would play piano for her. And so A Man for Every Day in the Week was written for her by Herschel when he was 15 years old. They recorded it in 1926 as a trio with Louis Armstrong, Herschel playing piano, Sippy singing, and Louis Armstrong playing the horn. And then 3 months later, Herschel died of food poisoning. And I'm sure that was a massive loss for Sippy Wallace, because I would imagine she was more of a mother figure to him. And these songs are just, you have to dig them out of the vault, basically. And I just feel that to bring that one back and to be able to tell the story, and it's, when you think about the lyrics and the message of it, and that it was written by a 15-year-old boy for his sister, it's sort of like a does not compute kind of thing.
Well, and even in the time period, I mean, when you talk about, it's risque, but going back to the time period.
Well, the thing about that is, and it's good you mentioned that, because you will notice there's some raciness to the tunes. In the vaudeville period, American vaudeville emanates from the vaudeville, which is a French period of music in the 1880s, 1890s, which was really for male audiences only. And it was, its hallmark was the double entendre, which were sexy songs that used other phrases to reference sexier references. And that was, oh, great, Ken's on the phone. I was going to ask if Kenny Vodka Collins might be listening. I have to talk to him. Kenny.
Hey, Lori.
Hi, how are you? And I'm staring at your media award here, and I've been thinking about you the whole morning. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Ken, remember you were broadcasting at where was it? And I came and played guitar one morning. It was the pharmacy that had the soda fountain, right?
You stole my thunder. I was just going to say you come a long way from the last time I heard you play the guitar at the Higgins Pharmacy.
Higgins Pharmacy. How are you, Ken?
Great.
Congratulations on your Hall of Fame induction and all your success.
Well, thank you. You're a big part of that, by the way.
Oh, thanks, Ken.
The ERI days. So
yeah.
You guys played a big part in me getting that awards, and
well,
I had the pleasure of speaking a couple of times about that at those award dinners. But you and the Ursos definitely. Especially with the sports when you were there.
Right.
Yep, we did a lot of those games and everything.
Yes.
But I just wanted to call and say good luck with your new venture here, and it sounds good.
Thank you, Ken. Well, I miss
All
you.
Right.
And
I miss you too.
say hello to Hazel, okay?
I will.
All right. Thanks for calling,
Keep in
Ken.
touch, Lori.
Yep.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. I loved working with Ken, and we had a special bond over the Red Sox, of course. And at Christmas time, I always had to top my Christmas gift. So one time I got Ken this perfect sculpture of Fenway Park with all the details. And then the next year, I think it was a Pete Rose signed baseball, and I can't remember the others, but I always had to do something special for Ken.
Very nice. So
we're off the track.
We're off the track, but that's okay. I want to remind people that you are playing this Saturday night and at Chan's Jazz Club. And if they're interested in more information about the show, they can go to chanseggrollsandjazz.com. You can reserve a table, if you've got a whole group of people that want to come up. The phone number is 765-1900, 765-1900. Reserve a table. Come see Ursula George.
It is in Woonsocket, and I know that's a different end of the W spectrum from Westerly, but it's not that bad of a drive, and it's a really great experience, and many, many great and notable musicians have been through those doors. So, but I just wanted to cap off what I was saying before about the vaudeville music. When vaudeville came to America, it gave an opportunity for African-American performers to have a stage, and the TOBA circuit, which was Theater Owners Booking Association, booked these traveling shows in different venues around the South and in cities like Chicago. And it gave rise to the female stars of what was the race record era. The first song that was recorded, the black blues song, was called Crazy Blues, and it was recorded by Ma Rainey, and it sold, I think, like 50,000 copies right off the bat. And it showed that there was a market for what they called at the time race music. And by race music, I believe they meant the race of the performers, that they were African American, but it was also racy music. So the double entendre was the art form that came out of that. And those vaudeville shows really were not just musical. They would have, the escape artists, the comedians, the jugglers, the acrobats, and the musicians. So, but it was a short-lived period in music, and it was sort of that point where blues emerged into jazz in the Roaring 20s.
We're going to talk about your role in the Historical Society. Do you think because of the rich history of this music, is that what partly draws you to it?
Yeah, it's what draws me to it, again, is that it's an American art form. Blues is very, very American in that it represents hardship in the growth of our relatively young country. And blues and jazz are probably the most beloved musical art forms, and they're craved by the Europeans, the Japanese. People just want to play jazz. They come to America to be part of that, and so it's really keeping the history of those art forms alive for me. Mary Jane, woo!
Yes, sir. How are you?
Hey. Okay, years ago I had a big hit, and it went like this. She's done a lot for Westerly. She's worked on your behalf. Gave Neighbor Day a center for teens and cable in the class. She cares about her fellow man. She'll help you out whenever she can. Find faith in government once again. Cast your vote for Mary Jane. That was my political jingle I wrote for Mary Jane DeMeo.
Right. You did. And we had a great time.
Hi, Mary Jane. How are you?
Well, I just want to wish you luck. You're doing a fine job. I happened to be at CBS, turned down the radio, and heard you, and I said, oh, I got to go home and give her a call.
Oh, thank you.
I am so proud of you, Lori.
Thank you, Mary Jane. And Mary Jane and I go way back because I've been performing at Neighbor Day for, Chris knows the number of years. It's 12 or 13, I think.
Well, we're going on our 20th year this
Wow. Well, congratulations on that.
Hopefully, things. Also, Daryl Finizio is now mayor of New London.
Wow.
And he started Neighbor Day in New London this year. It's 2011. And now that he's mayor, hopefully he'll even be more.
Really?
And remember when he started, well, maybe you don't, but he started with Boys Nation.
Yeah.
And the first resolution that everybody passed was for Neighbor Day. So very proud of him, and, of course, very proud of you. You're always there for us.
Thank you.
And I did write the number for Woonsocket. If Tony is available, hopefully maybe we can take a ride up.
Well, tell Tony I'll be playing a Guild Songbird, which is a guitar much like the one that he won't sell me from his own collection. And tell him I said hello, and Mary Jane Jr. and your family wished you the best. If I don't see you, happy holidays, Mary Jane.
Oh, you too, Lori, and God bless you.
You too. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We're in the studio with Lori Urso, beloved Lori Urso, singer, musician, guitar player, also the director of the Petaquamsket. See, I was practicing, but I messed it up.
You did well.
Petaquamsket Historical Society. You recently just accepted the Rhodey Award from Governor Chafee. I know I want to switch a little bit over to the Historical Society because we are running out of time.
Okay.
The Rhodey Award from Governor Chafee for outstanding historic preservation for your role in the restoration of Hale House. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit about the different properties that you manage as the director of the Historic Society and how that all came about?
Well, the Petaquamsket Historical Society is 54 years old, and when I left the Watershed Association, they recruited me to come and work for them because they were in the middle of this historic restoration project, and they needed someone who could handle a construction project, and I had built the campus at Whoopwa, so that's the acronym for Wood-Pawcatuck Watershed Association. So I came there and took on this Hale House restoration, and it's the second property of the Historical Society, well, the second building. The first is the old Washington County Jail in Kingston, Rhode Island, which dates back to 1792. The site does, and the original, the jail that stands now was built in 1858. That's the main headquarters and museum for the organization. And the organization also has two burial grounds that it oversees, the Potter family site in Kingston and the Quaker Cemetery in Wakefield. And Hale House was a new project that was it really was a benefactor in Mattoonic, saved the property from destruction. It was the summer home of American author Edward Everett Hale, who it seems like a karmic calling for me because, again, he was a patriot and abolitionist who was very much opposed to slavery, and my role in sort of resurrecting and keeping blues music and what it represents sort of go hand in hand. But Hale and his family summered there for 37 years, and the house only had 3 owners in its lifetime. The owner who provided it for Edward Everett Hale and his family, the second family, the Steers, who owned it from 54 until 05, and then the Historical Society, who took on its ownership and its restoration. And it was a 4.5-year project. And it is a restoration of what's an example of the original summer resort architecture of Rhode Island. At that time, the late 1890s, vacationing was just coming into fashion. It was a novelty to go away on vacation
and
to
they
a
were from
beach
Boston.
area. And yes, they were from Roxbury. And in Rhode Island, we had many famous resorts at that time. We had Rocky Point, which came out in that time, which, by the way, I performed at when I was 8 years old. That's another thing. We had Oakland Beach, Button Woods. These were all resort areas, sort of summer playgrounds. And Newport, of course, was in fashion. Mattoonic was always somewhat under the radar.
And is that because it was more of an artist community than
was,
just vacationing?
It was sort of, especially for the Hales, who Edward Everett Hale was a Unitarian minister and author, but he was a simple guy. And the last thing they would want to do was get into sort of the Newport society type thing. So they spent their summers in Mattoonic. They came to Mattoonic because a industrialist named William Whedon, who had befriended Hale and who had inherited property in Mattoonic, he wanted to establish the Mattoonic Art Colony and make it an intellectual center. So he said to Hale, I will build a house for your use if you come. And I know if you come, because he was a famous orator and speaker at the time, he felt if he came, other artists would come. And that's exactly what happened from 1873 to, say, the 1920s. Artists came and settled in Matunic. Many of those original studios are still there. And it's always really maintained that reputation as an artsy, sort of under the radar place to enjoy summers.
But it is visible from Route 1A heading south,
Yes.
right before it's a little north of the Perryville exit, and people have probably passed by it a million times. It's the big red house.
It's the big red. Well, it hasn't been red until we restored it to red, but I tell people just look for the big red house on the hill. If you know where Matunic Beach Road is and you imagine hopping across Route 1 directly from Matunic Beach Road, that's where it is. It's the immediate property south of the Robert Beverly Hale Library, which is a library that was was designed by one of Hale's sons in honor of another of his sons who had died. So there's a nice family history in that area as well.
Karmically speaking, you could not be any different from the Hale House to the jailhouse.
Yeah.
So talk about a little about the jailhouse, because I know you've got some stuff
old
going
Washington
on right now.
County Jail, which is in Kingston across from URI, and you can come visit us Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 1 to 4, is a very interesting and cold place. And when I say cold, I mean it's made of granite, and the granite walls are exposed, and I've learned to live in a cold environment from working there. Even at home now, I turn down the thermostat. But it was a colonial jail at first, not a long-term incarceration situation, just a place where prisoners were held until they went to court across the road. But the new building was built in 1858 and operated as a jail for 100 years, so until the 1950s. And I'll have to tell you that it took me about 6 months of working there before I felt comfortable working there alone, because some really hard to explain things happen within the old Washington County Jail. Well, some stories it would take me a little long to tell you, but I mean, I hear music boxes playing there at times.
Really?
I hear people come in that have not come in.
No, I have to ask, is that why there's that bell on the front, and you've got a little sign? There's a little sign that says, ring the bell before you enter. It's a great bell.
Actually, when I was first there, I was cleaning up the building and I was vacuuming, and we used to do this haunted jail thing, and there was a flyer in the hallway promoting the haunted jail, and I was vacuuming and cleaning, and at one point, the haunted jail flyer floated off the table and it landed in front of me when I was vacuuming. And I didn't think anything of it. I thought, okay, I must have created a breeze. So I picked it up and put it back on the table. And then I was vacuuming another area. And next thing I knew, the haunted jail flyer was in front of me. And I picked it up and put it back on the table. And then a third time, vacuuming another room, that haunted jail flyer found its way in front of my path. And I said, I wonder how long I'm going to last here, because those things sort of freaked me out. But now I'm completely comfortable there. I can be there alone. Even last night I was there late. I was in the kitchen. I wasn't even putting the lights on. I'm very comfortable in that environment now, but it took a while.
That's funny. No, we don't want to scare people, because, the holidays are coming up, and I know that you've been working tirelessly in that gift shop. And there are some wonderful, wonderful, really just unique gift items in the I just recently gave my brother-in-law it's the reproduction of Benjamin Franklin's book. What is it? How to Create
The Rules
Wealth.
of Civility, is it? Oh, The Way to Wealth.
The Way to Wealth. And then there is George Washington's Way of Civility. I was actually going to give that one to my brother-in-law, but I figured I better not. So
Well, we have a nice little gift shop there. All the sales support the Historical Society, which is nonprofit. And December 1st, we open our seasonal exhibition in the gallery called Top Hats and Trimmings. It's all the finest accessories from our collection, things you would wear at the holidays. Don't be scared of the jail. It's a wonderful place. It's all good energy. You'll enjoy visiting. And we have many beautiful things on exhibit that represent Washington County culture. So please come by. WashingtonCountyHistory.org.
Excellent.
Is the website.
Lori Urso is the director of the Petaquamsket Historical Society. If you want to get in touch with Lori or with any questions, go ahead and, like she said, visit the Petaquamsket Historical Society Facebook page and of course, click the like button.
Yeah.
Or go to WashingtonCountyHistory.org or HaleHouseRhodeIsland.org. If you've enjoyed this interview, you can go to the Ann Spath Productions Facebook page. Again, click that like button and hear our conversation and even share it with others. Lori, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ann Marie.
And thank you for joining us today. I'm Ann Marie Spatharakis, and this has been In the Studio.